Excellent. Welcome to another episode of Starseed Activations. So, how's everyone's Lion Gates portal going? I know we went through that tonight. We were told it's a new moon, and so the energies have been very much released, and now we're going into new rebirth and new growth. And so many people may have noticed doing creative things today, and that was pinpointed to me a little bit earlier in the day, and then all of a sudden it was like I went to leave the house and it started to rain, and so I sat behind my computer, started focusing on the book, and then all of a sudden it became sunny outside. So the universe always reorganizes our individual realities to allow us to do what the energy is of today. And so I encourage each and every one of you guys to create something amazing. Even if it's something small, just take the time and energy to do something that brings warmth into your hearts. Now, we're also going to discuss the fires in the Hawaii Islands. And so we want to send them love and light, and we want to do a manifestation to allow for healing to occur. So we are going to start off with that. And so I want every single one of us to just take a nice deep breath in and release. We're going to make this a little bit extended because we're only a minute and a half in, and I want to give a little time for more people to come. So what the star people are saying is we are going to facilitate an energetic clearing to allow each individual person watching the opportunity to raise their biological frequency, which then in turn is going to assist in the manifestation process for the Hawaii Islands. And so I want each and every one of you to just take a nice deep breath in and release. Imagine a bright white light fully surrounding your biological form, making you feel warmth, love, compassion, raising your frequencies. Now, this bright white light, it goes in two ways. It goes up through the crown chakra, and it also goes down below the feet, grounding us into Mother Earth's energetic grid structures. And so we just ever so gently allow this energy to ground into the earth, filling us with so much chi energetic systems, allowing our heart chakras to fully radiate this bright white light that we are going to use to cast upon all of the Hawaiian Islands. Any darkness, any densities in every single one of your chakra systems are now ever so gently being released and removed in alignment with the star people. So they are helping each and every one of us to rebalance our energetic grids, to bring more love and compassion and light into our systems, and to allow us to feel more whole throughout this process. Now we just focus. Just see and visualize the Hawaiian Islands. Ever so gently. See all the land that has been barren from the fires. And I want you to allow this source frequency, this light and this love to fully, it's like your consciousness just steps out of the way and just allow this light to flow through you. And it is going through time and space and energetically being cast at all of the Hawaiian Islands. And the star people are stepping forward and saying right now, they wish to express this light to all of the islands, because even though it was one that went through the burning process, all of the islands are affected by all of the people and their consciousnesses and the way they are all connected. Now we wish for you each to see the island being rebuilt. See the new buildings. How do they look? Are they eco-friendly? Are they healthy for the environment? Do they have a beach theme? Is it something sturdy that's going to last for thousands of years? Built with sacred geometry and quantum physics? Built in such a manner using the Fibonacci sequence so that it may never fall down? It may withstand fire and hurricanes or weather. See the plumbing systems getting an update, allowing for fresh water and fresh springs to be inside each and every person's house. And now we see the Hawaiian Islands and we send them so much love and light and so many good thoughts and blessings to see and visualize the way we want to see it manifest. We see it beautiful. We see it clean. We see all the people happy. And we just ever so humbly and gratefully say thank you, dear Source Frequency, for assisting in the healing of all of the Hawaiian Islands. Thank you for rebuilding. Thank you for helping all of the people. Thank you for sending white light to heal the heart chakras of all of the people in all of the Hawaiian Islands, allowing them to know how much the rest of the world is standing right next to them, experiencing this pain with them, and helping to heal with them. And thank you so incredibly much, Source Frequency and Star People, for assisting, allowing any resources to reach the islands that are needed for the healing time. And we all just say, Amen. Usa, usa, usa. And that is all. And we just stay humble and thankful. We have no expectations. So when it manifests and how it manifests, it's okay. It's okay, whatever that wants to look like. We know that we sent love and light. Now, the more and more and more that we start to place focus and attention on healing different aspects of the earth, what actually happens is Mother Earth herself, she starts to send a vortex energetic, which starts the manifestation process. So Mother Earth will call for the frequency to be raised in that particular location, which then in turn is going to assist in healing the consciousnesses of the individual heart chakras, which then in turn radiates more love and light to the surrounding location and environmentals, which helps to heal the area more rapidly. So science will prove all of this. It actually does prove all of this. And when we start to recognize how a vortex energetic works, we start to see that, okay, our thoughts and intentions, even though we're way across the country and they're way across an ocean, but the second that we understand that our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions, when we energetically cast at a particular location, we start to generate vortex energetics at that location, which then in turn starts to raise the frequency of that location. Now, cleansing and purification. Whenever an individual starts to see charcoal, for an example. So we take charcoal inside the body is known to remove any toxins. So if you go to the hospital and you have some sort of poisoning, they will make you drink charcoal because charcoal, it sucks out all the poison, all the toxins. Now, when we are gardening, we use charcoal. And when you put charcoal in, when you plant a tree, it makes a tree grow 10 times the size. That's because you are pulling all of the toxins out of the soil so that that tree is pulling only the positive nutrients in. Very healthy, very beneficial. So when we start to talk about islands that have been, unfortunately, burned, there's a lot of charcoal that's there. And that charcoal is very, very important because the cleansing and purification, this is another reason why we burn sage. And so there's a cleansing and purification process that happens with that charcoal, which allows the plant life to grow back 10 times in the size. And it's not only in the size, it is also the variety of the particular nature of the plants that are going to grow back. So whereas you may have had one particular type of flower grow back, the Star People are showing me you may have brand new flowers that match a brand new consciousness become manifest. So we take a look at flowers for an example, and we want to talk about the dandelion being the #1 heart cure. So many people have identified this and they start to do things like eat the dandelion or the dandelion roots, or even make the dandelion tea. I recommend you make it yourself because dandelions, they're right outside your door. Now, when a plant spontaneously manifests outside your door, it is always because that plant is closest to your energetic grids. So that plant is going to become energetically bonded with you because of the proximity that you have to that plant. So anytime you can go out into your yard or into your nature, especially when it's within your grasp or your reach, that's where you want to start to take your plants from, because you're energetically within a certain radius and there's already a bonding process that has happened. So when we start to do it ourselves, we take that into consideration. It actually helps to heal the body 10 times the original rate, simply because you and the plant have already spent enough time energetically bonding. Now, when we start to talk about growing our own plants, this is of high value for each and every one of us to recognize that when we have plants, there is energetic bonding, but there is also physical bonding that may take place. The physical bonding, imagine for 1 second, a farmer has his hands in the dirt and he is sweating, and the sweat is your DNA. That's your biological form. And so your sweat drips on top of the plants. The plants, it gets absorbed into the roots, and now all of a sudden that plant has your DNA material inside of it. So what happens? Now that plant, because it's sucking in your DNA, it's kind of sort of like a genetic modification, the star people are saying, but what it really is, it's a natural modification that occurs. And so now that plant becomes part of you because it has your DNA inside of it. So now whatever your DNA just affected the plant's DNA, that plant's going to start to suck up the nutrition that your body needs. So that's a physical type of bonding that may also take place. This is the reason why it is very important for us to be giving some of our fluids back to our farmland. And this is another reason why we use things like manure, because manure is giving back. But then what happens is all the plants that are grown using that particular type of manure are designed systematically through evolution to provide the nutrition for that particular animal. When we start to do things like coming into a coherent coexistence with nature, we shall be giving back our biological material to Mother Earth through different type of filtration systems in place, which then in turn shall produce anything from algae. It's many, many different ways of doing it. The star people are showing me now, but they're saying by giving it back, it forms a circle of life with the plants, and then we eat it, and then all of a sudden, those plants have the nutrition needed for our individualized bodies. The plant is capable of containing multiple individuals' DNA at one time. It does not get confused. It is kind of like a memory bank. So each plant, let's say for an example, there is a limit to it. They don't want to give us a limit, because I went right to 100 and they're like, no, we're not doing limits on it, but figure 10 to 20 people per plant. They said, just keep that in your mind for now, but that's not the right number. So they're showing me, just imagine you're living in a community. 10 to 20 people should be 10 to 20 people that are giving the DNA to that group of plants. And then that group of plants is going to be engineered specifically for their biological forms and their nutritional deficiencies. So for example, let's say a person A, has a deficiency in the vitamin Bs, they're showing me. You grow the plant has access to your biological fluids, whatever that may be, and then all of a sudden the plant knows to suck up all the vitamin Bs to heal you. Now, when we start to talk about healing, it doesn't matter the disease. The plant understands the disease as an energetic imprint. Now, when we start to talk about this, you can have a one-on-one relationship with the plant, and then that plant is going to suck the biological vitamins from its soil, its roots from Mother Earth, and it's going to be a healing plant for you in particular. The plants may be used in a multitude of ways, for we can also take the essential oils of each plant, and they do have an emotion code related to each and every plant. Each and every plant, as well as each and every herb, flower, there's different types. The psychedelic plants, that's a whole nother topic. But every single plant, every single form of Mother Earth is registered to heal in a very particular way. And so I want you guys to take a look at the emotion codes that each and every one of us have. There's like a million different emotion codes that we are able to feel and we are able to sense. And then we talk about combinations. So you could be sad, but you could be sad and angry. And that's a brand new emotion code, because being sad may trigger your energetic grid on the left-hand side. Just for an example, being angry may trigger it on the right-hand side. But what happens when you're sad and angry? Now, all of a sudden, your grid gets triggered on both sides. Just an example, that's not the way the grid actually works. It's not just left and right. It's a very particular type of grid that tunes into each and every one of the chakras. So let's say, for an example, you had an imbalance in your root chakra. That root chakra is pertaining to a physical experience, and it has to do with your physical location, your items, your car, your home, anything in the physical, the food that you're eating, the clothes that you're wearing, all of that information, because it is a holographic simulation, all of that information is encoded into your root chakra. So when we have an experience of a particular emotion pertaining to a physical is one of the physical items in our life that we need for survival. So the house, the car, the clothes, all the things, then all of a sudden we want to take a look at what is the emotion code, and it's pertaining to this chakra system. And then that aspect of the energetic grid is going to light up. Now, there's also a node system in the energetic grid structure. So the way the grids work is kind of like this. They crisscross over each other. So it's kind of like the meridians and then the ley lines. And the meridians and the ley lines, they intersect, they cross. That's an energetic vortex or an energy node. Now, the star people call that your life experiential grid or your star field, because it looks like a bunch of little dots. It looks like stars. And each one of these little stars is your experiences. So your experiences, what experience have you had that was... We'll take the negative ones because those imprint us in a negative polarity, and that's what we want to heal. So whenever we have an experience and it's negative, the experience along with the emotion code gets intertwined, and then the location code. So it's 3 different frequencies wrapped into one, triggers inside of that little star, and then that starts the cycle repeat, because that's how we imprint into the energetic grid structures. When we start to recognize that these things, and this is how we go about healing, then it allows us an opportunity to focus on each one of them and to really dive into the different emotions that we are holding. Now, the emotions that we're holding, anger, for an example, that's one emotion code, but that can cover 1,000 different experiences that we have had over an entire lifetime. Now, we have to recognize and remember that each and every moment that we spend in the simulation, this moment right here is one moment that we each have an opportunity to fire off an emotion. But yet, let's 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Now, this is another moment in which it gives us an opportunity to fire off an emotion. These 2 moments in time can imprint us. So if you're having an argument with someone in one location and then you move to a second location and continue the argument, you could have 2 imprints with different emotion codes. This is important to recognize because then it gives us an opportunity to start micro analyzing every single second of our day. Now, what that looks like is being consciously aware of our thoughts and emotions. And when we consciously start to pay attention, how do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? Now, is there anything else I can do to change my thoughts, feelings, and emotions? And this is one of the hardest things to do. It's hardcore because we slip. We tend to be aware and then we slip, and then we become aware again, and then we slip again. And that's okay too, because that's just the way it works. We're not meant to be perfect people. We're meant to become aware, and then we go through it. Now, I want you guys to see it as a frequency wave. The star people have been telling us for an extended period of time that we go through weeks in spiritual, and then we go through physical weeks. Now, the reason that this happens is because of the solar energetics that our biological form is absorbing. Now, what this means is, when we are focused on a physical week, we usually are focused on doing things like cleaning the car, paying bills, washing clothes. It's very physically focused, going food shopping. But then on spiritual weeks, we're usually focused on what makes you happy and excited, or everything just seems to come to us when we need it. And it's a little less stress, and it's more like, all right, let's just go with the flow. So it's 2 different types of experience. However, it's all being guided by the solar energetics. The more and more you place conscious focus and attention on the physical and get your ducks in a row, even if your ducks are a mess, you only have to start with 1 duck. Just get one thing in your life right, and then the next step will unfold, and then another thing will become correct, and then another thing and another thing. And you have to take everything like a baby step process. I've been in the darkness. I have right? Swan dive deep into the darkness. I was a cripple at one point, and it's just when we dive into the darkness to such degrees, which most of us, and most of you guys who listen to me, especially on Facebook, you guys are all dive in deep. And so I know because I talk to many of you guys. So, yeah, one duck at a time. And when we start to put our lives in order, it's okay to just take a breath, take a release, and it's okay to just be at peace with who you are in the now moment. Now, this comes with trials and tribulations to each brick of consciousness. And it does this because in each brick of consciousness, you're raising or you're evolving into a higher frequency range. Each and every frequency range comes with its own trials and tribulations. This is the reason why we can see, and we can clearly see this in the rich people, right? We say, oh, rich people have rich people problems. That's because just because they're in a different brick of consciousness with their financials, it doesn't mean that they don't have problems. Everyone has problems. There's always something to deal with. Now, when we start to hold love and light to all of the experiences, we go inside, we heal the past, we heal, we do the shadow work, all the things, then all of a sudden, it generally leads us to be happier people. And so you tend to shine a little bit brighter. You're happier. That's it, which is perfect. Now, the more and more you start doing this, and all of a sudden, all of the problems, all the trouble, all of that, you've cultivated peace in your life. Many of us are already at that level, which is wonderful. But when we start tapping into that level, a lot of times we'll turn around and we'll be like, now what do we do? Now I have peace. Now there's boredom. And that's actually, it's a half step note in between the dark frequencies. We shouldn't really call it dark. The star people are correcting. It's just a lower frequency range. So the lower frequency range, and then boredom is like the middle. And this is where we start to cultivate peace, and then joy starts to come in, and then excitement, bliss, and then authenticity. So when we start to tune into the happier ranges is when we start to really identify, okay, wait a second. So now I'm in the happier ranges, so I'm vibing very high. So if I'm around certain people, places, and things, and it makes me feel awkward, uncomfortable, or not in alignment, we want to always take a step back. Is that in alignment with you? It goes 10 steps deeper because it even goes to the food. And I personally have been witness to this in my life. So the star people, they had me do a thing where like the cucumber had a little rotten spot on one end, and they were like, I was going to cut it off, right? Because that's what we do. Oh, the cucumber's ready. Just chop it in half. It's fine. And they were like, you can't do that. And so they told me that the second that you have to see it as a whole, that's a whole item. And the second that there's a tiny piece in that item that's a lower frequency, it's lowering the frequency of the entire cucumber. That's only an example. But the way I now, after all the training I've been with the star people, the way I now see my life, if I'm going and interacting with anything, it could be anything in the reality. It could be walking into a store. If there's something in the store that's not right, I'm out. I'm not sticking around because the frequency of that store is not right. That includes the politics of the store. Not to get into any political mumbo jumbo, but if the people running the store or the corporations aren't doing the right thing, then, do you want to be a part of that? Is a question that each and every one of us have to ask ourselves. Some stores we interact with, but some of them it's like, I don't know, too much is no good. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind as we're going through this process and the evolution, right? When we start to raise our frequency, and this is another one that we talk about a lot, it's you raise your frequency to a certain degree, you're not going to go and eat like a McDonald's burger because it's going to make you feel sick. So when we start to recognize that tuning into lower frequency items can make us potentially sick. And this goes 10 levels deeper because I also have had things in my house from a very long time ago. And the star people were like, the music from your high school, which is all like heavy metal type of music, they're like, needs to go. And I've been holding on to like the CD case and I'm like, oh, but it's like thousands of dollars worth of CDs. And it's from the year 2000, right? And it's just, that's my jam. And they're like, it needs to go. It's like a lower frequency. And so, but some of these things we hold on to, we don't want to let it go, but that's giving off a frequency. Now, I actually put a couple of CDs on and listened to it, and I was like, I can't listen to this stuff because it's so negative, so toxic, right? And so it's like, okay, it needs to go. But it's just an example about how we really have to step in and start looking at every single aspect of our lives, and things that are not in alignment are things that we should release and just take our times and go through the process. It's wonderful. Okay, so feeling into the body was one of the questions that we actually had come through. Let me just take a sip. Okay. Feeling into the body. Very, very important, because most of us don't recognize that we have an entire relationship with the body. Now, what that means is, and I've had this experience where I do attachment releases with people. And so it's one-on-one sessions, and we sit down and we pull the attachments off of everybody. And you can feel the attachments discharge off of you sometimes. And it's wild. I felt it in my own body, and some of my clients have felt it. Now, when we start to release the attachments, imagine that there's an energetic being, and it's like into a grid. And then all of a sudden we go and we discharge it, and it's like, you feel it like lifting off of you. When we start to feel these things, that is your biological form. You want to relax your body and place focus and attention on the entire body. So really put yourself into it's kind of like the zone of focus where you squeeze all your muscles and then release all your muscles and let your body release, relax. When you do that, then you'll be able to focus more. Okay, this is what my body feels like when I'm meant to be relaxed. So now that I'm relaxed, how does it feel when I go through this emotion code? Now, everyone, we could do this right now, actually, if everyone wants to. Everyone just take a nice deep breath in and release. Squeeze all your muscles. Make your bodies tense and tight. Right? Squeeze everything. Squeeze the top of your head, all the facial muscles. Squeeze your neck. You could do a little rotation. Your shoulders. Squeeze everything. And then just, it's okay if you guys are standing when you do this. Don't do it if you're driving. And then just relax. Just relax your body. A little gentle wiggle. Feel how your body feels when you are fully relaxed. How does it feel inside? You should know your body. This is developing a relationship with your body. Now, I want each and every one of you guys to pick an emotion code. It could be anything that you personally are going through. Any emotion. Make it a toxic one. Make it something that you don't like. Something that comes up and you're just like, I don't want to feel this ever again. You could speak that emotion code out loud. If you don't have one, just pick anger. We've all been angry. Anger. How does that feel inside of your body? Does your body get tense anywhere? It's ever so slight. Is there any tension? Is there any tightness? Sometimes you may hear a gurgle in your belly. That means that there's an attachment there. Sometimes you may feel all choked up. There's an attachment there. Sometimes you may feel pressure on top of your head. Could be an attachment. How does it make your body feel? Now I want you guys to tell that same emotion, get off and go home. What do you feel inside of your body? What do you guys feel? Was there any discharges? Did anything shift? Was there any lightness? Was there a weight released off of your shoulders? Right? The second that we start to cultivate a relationship like that with our bodies, we really start to dive in deep and start to go through every single emotion that you've ever experienced. Start to talk to your body in that way. And you'll be surprised. This is a two-way relationship. And the second that you learn how your body communicates with you, now you can start interacting with things like, we'll just take food. So I'm going to eat this. I'm going to get quiet and I'm going to see what my body does. And I'm going to eat it and I'm going to sit here for a minute. So before I put this, I'm putting it, I'm tasting it. How does it make me feel? And then I'm going to sit. And if I feel any tension, any tightness, any pressure, then I know, okay, how does this feel? Does it feel good? Is it positive? Is it loving, caring, kind? Or is it something that is making me not feel good? Is it tension or tightness? So this is another way that we can tell if the food is in alignment with us, because some foods have genetic modifications. For an example, And let's say, for an example, it's marked organic, but it's still got chemicals. You put a piece of that food in your mouth, you ask your body to tell you. Your body's going to give you a response. Does your body like it or does it not? That's it. That's how we do it. The more and more we start to do this, now it was wild and amazing. Jill knows because we did this with essential oil. Now, different essential oils with different flower-based essential oils, and when you take a drop of it, you can feel it. Now, she has a whole book. This is one of my friends on Instagram. She has a whole book in which it shows you the emotion patternings for the particular oil, and then it also shows you what area of the body. And so when you take a drop of that oil, just pay attention to the area of the body. Where do you actually feel it? You're only going to be able to feel the body this way if you're used to calming and quieting and allowing your body to sink into that meditation. A meditation does not have to be for an hour. A meditation does not have to be something where you are taking the time to put the thing and you go into deep meditations. That's wonderful. We should all be consciously meditating as well. Absolutely. But a simple meditation and getting used to this type of relationship with your body could be something so simple as closing your eyes and just feeling. Relax it real quick and just feel. That didn't take us a minute to do. And yet now everyone is aware of it. And so that is valuable because the second that you become aware, oh, okay, I can actually start to cultivate this relationship. Now you can start to use it as a form of two-way contact and communication with your higher self. Now, what that looks like is, let's say you have an appointment to go to, and the appointment can be anything, or a dentist appointment. We'll use that one because everyone loves dentists. So if you have a dentist appointment to go to and you're not sure about the dentist, you can drop in and you can ask your body, how does your body feel about it? Your body's going to give you a response. Yes, I feel safe going to that office, or no. The way you're going to know, is there any tension or tightness? Usually fears are located in the sacral chakra, which is orange. And so we always want to look at the belly and below the belly button. That area there is where that chakra system is. And so if you have any fears, usually it triggers you to go to the bathroom many times. So if you ever have experienced that, getting tattoos, right? You have to use the restroom like 5 times before you go. That's where all of your fears are located. So if you need a fear detector, and to see if any experience is in alignment with who you are meant to be or meant to do in this world, then that is one way that you have the ability to tap in. Many people also use pendulums. Tarot cards can be used. All these things are simply created to the higher self, connected to the higher self. The star people are correcting, and they are connected to your consciousness. So each and every one of us are always in the right place at the right time to experience what we came here to experience. So each and every day is brand new and fresh. We believe that we are this person who is in this simulation, who is in this exact moment, because in this exact moment, this is what our eyes, ears, and 5 senses tells us is real. Now, what I'm telling you guys, I'm asking you actually, is there a potential in which yesterday you maybe were a different person in a different form of the simulation? Who knows? Because time and space isn't real, not the way we know it as. 5D is having the ability to see the entire timeline. So who's to say that you can't change the timeline that you're sitting on? You actually can. And so the way that that looks, if you wanted to do it consciously today, right now, in this moment, you actually can. Of course, many people want to do deep meditation and start to build that activity, that exercise up, but we are all conscious creators. Now, we could drop into a meditation and we can actually pull the consciousness up the crown chakra and we can cast it back up to the higher self, which then in turn is going to allow the higher self access into the different lifetimes, past, present, future, as well as different versions of the self. So your higher self may have a billion different lifetimes on different planets. So you could be an Arcturian, you could be a reptilian, you could be whatever it is that your higher self already has. And the higher self usually has one of each, if not more. or two of each. And so when you start to do this type of work, you are casting your consciousness up and out the top. You are blending in with the higher self a tiny bit. You are picking and selecting which biological form, which lifetime that you choose to become vibrationally in alignment with. And then that allows you to beam down. Now, this is part of our true multidimensional nature. So when we start to recognize our multidimensional nature, it gives us access into not only this ability, but it gives us access into other abilities in which we can make instantaneous timeline shifts or changes. Now, we shift billions of times per second. I have seen the way that the shift works, and it sort of looks like a photo with a photo behind it, and it's flickering like a photo booth. It goes very, very rapidly. And it is controlled by the 0 point, which is inside of your heart chakra. When we start to tune into the heart chakra, it's kind of like a cross, but it's not this way. It's like a box cube. It's your personality grid complex. The star people are stepping forward. And so your personality grid complex allows for you to pick and choose your channeling. You can channel temporarily in the now moment, but you may also channel permanently into the personality grid complex. You can cast down or summon. They're using the word summon. They're saying you can summon any individual in the simulation as you see fit. Any personality from the past, present, and future may be summoned down through the crown chakra and ever so gently places its light stream into the personality grid complex, which is a 64-bit cube, allowing you access into the knowledge of that personality. So what that looks like is you would then start to resonate the answers that that personality would give you. That does not mean that you have full knowledge base. That means it's their personality that you are plugging into your complex. This will help you because that's only part one. Now, you can do a knowledge pull from that light stream, which will grant the user access into the knowledge base of the primary individual. So let's say, for example, you are channeling Thomas Edison. They're showing me. So the first step, you're pulling down, you start to channeling, it's plugging into your personality grid, 64-bit cube inside the heart chakra. And then all of a sudden, you would have to dive into a meditation. They're showing me. Many of you would have to dive into the meditation in order to allow access into the knowledge base of such personality grid. And then it shall allow you to download the knowledge that you are asking for. And it doesn't matter what knowledge it is. It could be any or all knowledge. It could be knowledge of the past, knowledge of the present, knowledge of the future. All of this information is also encoded into your DNA subsystems. So the DNA subsystems include your Akashic records as well as access into your multidimensional records, because there is two different forms of the records of each individual. Your Akashic records hold the past, present, and future of this timeline that you currently are in vibrational alignment to receive. That includes any information now and all of the potentials of this body, this person, all the past, present, and future lifetimes. Your multidimensional Akashic records. They're calling it a library. It's more like a codex, they're saying. It's like a codex. That you have to go up another level. And then when you go up another level with the higher self, then you start to see access into all potential lifetimes. So it's in this potential, in this reality, I'm Danielle Lipton. But there's another reality out there in which my personality, my lifetime, everything is completely different. I could have had black hair. And all of that information is on the multidimensional record, which we have access to, because inside every single cell is a vortex energetic, which is sort of like a black hole. And so it allows the consciousness to activate your true multidimensional nature, which in turn is going to grant you access into the extrasensory ability range, which is encoded into the crystalline DNA systems. Now, the DNA, we've always been told that there's junk DNA. That's not true. That's just DNA that was not yet activated. It is not activated because we were not placing our conscious focus and attention on getting it activated. So when we start to place conscious focus and attention to allow it to activate, we're going to start to see reflections in the simulation. Now, what that looks like is, let's say for an example, someone starts to take their time and they start to focus on casting their energetics to move a piece of tin foil. We can all do this. It's just a matter of how much do you guys want to do it? How much are you willing to sit here and focus on getting it done? Now, me personally, I've focused on weather casting. So weather casting is when we want the sunshine. So we go outside and we hold the feeling, the emotion. How does it feel to be in the sunshine? How does it feel to have that beautiful, warm, golden sun just radiating down on us? You feel all these emotions, and then you are just thankful. Thank you, universe, for allowing that to manifest for me. And usually it happens right away when you start doing it over and over and over again, because you're placing conscious focus and attention. Then you start to realize that all of your emotions are tied into the weather patterns. So weather patterns, it doesn't necessarily just have to be one thing. The weather patterns, there's many different aspects to the weather. Just think about how many different types of clouds we have. So if we can manifest different versions of the clouds, and then new clouds may even come. So when we start to do this, we have to realize that each and every emotion code changes something in the simulation. Now, every single emotion activates your extrasensory abilities. However, to fully activate them, it must be done by an extreme emotion. An extreme emotion is going to be a very high emotion of like love and light, or your fight or flight systems activate. Many times we have a look at people whose fight or flight systems activate. Your body, bam, kicks up all the extrasensory abilities because it's trying to save your life. So let's take, for an example, you're hanging from the side of a cliff. Your reptilian brain, your fight or flight systems start to activate inside the body. And then all of a sudden, all the senses, it kind of feels like that too. It's start to fire up. Things go in slow motion, so everything is a little bit different. Many times in car accidents, we see slow motion happening too. And then all of a sudden, we allow the experience to unfold for us. Now, many times when we are about to experience trauma frequencies, then the simulation will change or shift our perception in order to give us a new opportunity to hold more love and light in that moment. When we hold more love and light in that moment, it then allows us to raise our biological frequency, which allows us to shift the trauma frequency out. So anytime you're about to be in a doom and gloom disaster, holding more love and light is key, because it's going to raise your frequency in the now moment, which shifts the potentials manifest. That's exactly the last thing that we have been taught to do in a fight or flight situation. We have not been taught to be calm, right? We just panic and we don't know what we're doing. But if we start, okay, consciously, and you could do this with anything. It doesn't have to be like trauma. It could be something simple like overcoming a fear. Some of the fears are, one of my fears was bees. I speak in a past term. You guys understand? So I used to always run and scream, ah, right? And so funny. Now, what the star people had me do was, okay, hold love and light. There's a bee. It's okay. It's wonderful, right? And then hold love and light. And then what you do is you do that over and over and over again. So what are you actually doing when we are doing that? We start to train the biological form to hold the frequency of love and light around our fears. So we're not afraid of you anymore. We're holding love and light. Now I'm peaceful. Now I'm calm. Now all of a sudden, there's a beautiful thing about bees as well, because when we start to hold love and light around bees, you start to vibrate at the frequency of love hertz. And the bees can tell they love the frequency 432. Love hertz. Now, 432 is the Earth's frequency. So they can tell when you're in alignment with that, because that's what the queen bee also is holding, is love. That's her frequency. So the bees love the queen bee because she's radiating a magnetism. Your emotions are magnetic in their nature. And so when you start to open up your heart and broadcast love, the little bees believe that you are the queen bee because you are at the same exact frequency. So they're not going to sting you. Now, the funny thing is that bee stinging therapy is a thing. And now we are consciously aware that the bees sting us when we have an imbalance. So anyone who has like cancer and they get stung, it's because the bee was actually trying to save your life. Who knew? It's absolutely amazing. So yes. Okay, let me see. Does anyone have any questions? Let me take a sip. Okay. Excellent. So let's see. Downloads into the emotion and thought grids. So we were talking about the personality grid complex. The personality grid complex gives you your personality. Now we can plug many different personalities into that complex. The people who do acting, they do this naturally. So they start plugging in and they start changing their personalities on demand. We can do it too. This is called channeling. Now, when we want to download something into your emotions and thought grids, this is where we truly start to become creators of our own reality, because your thoughts and your emotions, we know, create our world. So when we start to have negative thoughts and emotions, then it can shatter your entire life, actually. So when we start to energetically cast or download, how does a bright, sunshiny day feel to each and every one of us? Each and every one of us has a different perception. That perception, it's done like that on purpose, because each and every one of us is supposed to have our own experience. No one is supposed to have the same exact experience. Even if I'm standing right next to you and we are experiencing the same exact thing, it's a totally different perception. We take a look at car accidents. Car accidents, it's the same thing. You can have 5 people all sitting around watching the same experience. Everybody sees things differently. That's the beautiful thing about the simulation, because we're each meant to have our own experience and viewpoint of each and every moment in the simulation. Now, your brick of consciousness is going to determine your viewpoint, because if you're at a certain level, certain parts of the simulation will be cut off from your perception. This works with the reticular activating system. And so, what that means is, in the brain, we have the reticular activating system that allows your consciousness to see. So, what that looks like is like this, right? If you're looking at, let's say you look out the window, there's a car, there's a fire hydrant, there's a couple buildings, there's all this stuff. What gets absorbed into your conscious mind? What do you see? What, because you can look at the entire picture, but only a few tiny little aspects are going to stand out in your mind. That's what the reticular activating system does. So when we see certain things, it's because our consciousness would only allow us to see those things. Now, your subconscious mind sees the entire picture. So all of the information is stored, but your mind only sees a select few things. Right now, the process of evolution is removing the blockage between the conscious mind and the subconscious. That is also a part of activating 5D frequencies. It's having the ability to have access into all thought form, as well as all information in the now moment, which then in turn allows us to really pick and choose and program as we see fit. Now, not every person is going to have access into the mental. It depends on your conscious focus and attention and who unlocks it. They have to realize that the extrasensory abilities that are encoded inside of us, all of us have them. So whether your extrasensory ability includes moving matter or changing time space, which time space can be changed, because when we're really happy, time seems to fly. When we're really sad, time seems to go very slow. So we already know that we can impact our perception of time and space. Now, when we start to really place focus and attention on each one of these tiny little aspects of our consciousness, just having the awareness of this is the way the system works is a level up. Because now we understand, oh, okay, so if I'm happy, time flies. So what can I do to make time go really fast? How can I speed it up? How can I slow it down? How can I control it? How can I sit here in a meditation? And because the physical reality, it isn't solid at all. Your body does not know what's real and what's not real. Because when you put the TV on, your consciousness watches that TV screen, and your consciousness believes that whatever you are seeing is happening in front of you. Now, what that means is if you're watching violence, your body starts to respond like that violence is happening directly in front of you. We can tell this with the neurology of the systems, your neurological systems, attention, tightness, all these different things. It's a biological response. Now, when we start to recognize, okay, our body doesn't know the difference. So how is it that we can change or modify our frequencies to allow us to take control of this system? So the first thing to do is encode new emotions into yourself, new emotions that you are not running on a current day-to-day time. And so the new emotions, what do you want to feel like? Can you imagine the emotion? Because we only know the emotions that we've been given, right? That our body is naturally fired and wired. We don't know the full range of emotions that a human being has complete access to. There may be certain emotions that are inside of us waiting to crack open. And that's a scientific fact. That just needs to be found. Now, the second that we can recognize, okay, there's more to the human body than we have been told, it leads people down this path of exploration. We want to dive in deep. We want to see what's really possible. How are we going to do that? By focusing. By your focus, your perception is the most valuable thing that each and every one of us has right now. And we can tell this because social media, they spend a lot of money to like target our focus of perception. Why do they do that? Why do they want us to sit behind a TV all day? Why? Because what are we going to do if we have all this time and we can focus on the things that we choose to focus on? Or we are cool, calm, and collected. Now, when we start to emotionally cast, you don't only have to cast your emotions into the external world. You can cast them into other people. You can cast them into complete strangers. You can do this while you are driving. And so the biggest thing to teach people is to drop into that heart, because that heart holds your slipstream into the higher self. Now, when we start to go into the heart and we start to shine love and light, we can generate an auric field that surrounds us. We can go 2 miles, 10 miles, we can go 50 miles. It really depends on your energy field and how much love and light you're casting. So when you start to do that, you can do different types of manifestations so that you can heal people as they walk into your energy field. This is a fact. Now, the more and more we start to focus on it, this is just one of those things that we can do. Now, stepping into divine alignment allows us to be in that meditative state in which we are consciously projecting our Kundalini energy up. And you'll feel like a pressure coming out the top of your head. That's how you know you're in alignment. The more and more you can do that and activate that 0 point inside the heart, you are walking around in a blissed out meditative state 24/7. It takes practice. You may get it. You may get it for a month. Then you may slip back down. And then you may remember it and do it again. You may slip back down. This is okay too. All of these experiences are okay. Please remember, the solar energetics have an effect on this system. And so your ability to drop in and come in alignment, you may feel it, and then you may be energetically pulsed in order for the primary individual to go into the shadow work and to release more negative-based emotions that are inside the grids. And when we start to do that, it actually allows us to go through things like a Lionsgate portal, which we go through, and then we do all the shadow work, and then all of a sudden, new energy comes, which is what today is. It's the new moon energy, right? Because we did a whole release, and then all of a sudden, new energies, new creative abilities are stepping forward for us. So when we recognize, okay, this is the energy of today, and this is where I'm at, this is where we're focused on, it allows you guys to see your level of consciousness, and it allows you to raise your frequency very rapidly, because now you have an idea of what to focus on. You've been at the tour twice with the mirror thing. Yep, on the moon too. Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions? I've been seeing beings on the left in the wall. I saw orbs on my side earlier before I put the cameras on, but there was there. Excellent. Hey, Mike, welcome. I don't know if you're still watching. I love you too. Excellent. Okay. I hope everybody had a wonderful night. Oh, we do. There was something there. I shouldn't have hit it, but I think I hit it. I don't know what it was. It was real. We do the shadow work Zoom. And so everyone can come if you want to. There's absolutely no charge. Just send me a message. You guys can go to daniellelipton.com. There's a little send me a message icon. It sends me an email, and then I send you the Zoom link. And when you guys go, what we do there is we dive into your shadow work. So we clear out the chakras some days. Some days we focus on attachment removal, which we did, I believe, the last time, which was amazing. Yes, it's at 8:30 tonight. And so everyone can come. And it's something that we do as a tribe, as a community. There's no fee. Come, and this way you dive into your shadow work and you raise your frequency. And then together we rise. Okay. How do we know for sure that we are in divine alignment? It'll be very fast. And not, it depends on what the alignment is, the star people are saying, because sometimes you're in divine alignment. So let's take your life purpose. We'll take me as an example. So my divine alignment is doing exactly this, right? Sitting here talking about these different topics. But normally when something's in alignment, it's very rapid. It's like boom, 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 boom. Everything goes super quick. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't going to be bumps in the road, because when we have to do our shadow work and we're missing something, bumps in the road may come. But that means your heart is telling you this is what you're meant to be doing. It usually makes your heart scream. And when you do that, you tend to glow. When you glow, you light up. It's called shedding. And so that means that your excitement gets really bright. And so everybody can see you, which is wonderful. Yes. So 8:30 tonight. Do wasps sting for the same reason? Wasps are a little bit different. So what I talk about is the bees. And the queen bee, those are honey bees. And the ones that produce the honey, those are very valuable to us because they can tell. And this has been portrayed in different movies. They can see royalty. Royalty is the love encoded beings. It's the ones that open your heart chakra and you radiate love. And then the bees know that we are royalty. I quote that. And what it is we are the same frequency as a queen bee. So it's kind of like they will not sting you, and they may even come to you because they love you, because they see you as a queen bee. Same frequency. Yeah. It's just, who knew? I spent so many years running from these things, right? All I had to do was open my heart and shine love and light, and they wouldn't sting me. Like, come on, that's like the best message that we can ever get. And we've all been told we need the bees, otherwise we don't survive. Why is that? Right? We want to ask ourselves that. It's not just because they pollinate. There's plenty of different insects that pollinate. There's plenty. The ladybugs pollinate some stuff. Who knows? Right? So it's amazing. So I will see you guys tonight. A bee landed on my neck and showed me how other bees fly. They're cute. I saw one TikTok, and some lady found a little bee and the wings were ripped off. And she took it home and she cultivated an entire relationship with the bee. Now, at the time, I had no idea that the bees can fall in love with us. But this bee, it loved her. So we have to also take this into consideration, that the animals are evolving just like us. And so when we take a look at the consciousness of all the animals, every single animal that I personally have seen, and the star people are saying there's some that haven't, but every single animal that I've seen, I've also seen a human being cultivate a love-based relationship with. And you could take that and you can scroll it on TikTok and see. Because if someone can cultivate I love you with a bee, they do it with snakes, with rabbits, with all sorts. And so deer, wild animals, this one lady, she had like 8 deer following her, and she was like Snow White. So we can clearly see that, and the Bible talks about this too, about a day and age in which man and animal is going to come and we're going to be able to communicate. Well, what if it's not communication in the sense of talking? What if it's communication in the sense of I love you? And then that opens the door to psionic abilities and telepathy manifest, right? And so telepathy is real. I do it with the star people on a daily basis. I know it. I hear it. I sense it. I hear them as if they're in the room with me. And not only that, but there's been other experiences I've had in which they shift my entire reality. So when I was a kid, I was on a motorcycle. And while I was on the motorcycle, they sent me a vision of me flipping the bike and dying. It was like the end of the line. And I knew it. I heard it. I felt it. And then as this happened, it was like, I was miles back on the bike. And they spoke to me like they were in my helmet. And they were like, you're not listening to us. And at that moment, I was on a highway. I was speeding with biker boys. And so I had pulled over and I was like, I have to go home. Someone is telling me I'm going to die. So I was like, I'm out. Right. So I went home, and not even 5 minutes after I left, my biker boys got into a cat and mouse chase with the cops. I was an inexperienced rider. If I was with them, I would have hit the pothole and I would have flipped the bike. Right. It's very dangerous. So they saved my life, and I'm grateful. But that led me down a whole thing of, okay, well, I know what I saw. I went home. I was like, was that God? I told my mom, was that God? It's who's we, right? Like God is not supposed to be we. And it left these questions in my mind for years to come. And then now, of course, that I realized it on my channel, now I understand what it is. So it's wonderful. But yeah, it's just amazing. Excellent. So it's 8 o'clock. I will see you guys at 8:30. Thank you so incredibly much for coming tonight. You guys each have many love and blessings. Remember to cast love and light at not only the Hawaiian Islands, but please cast it everywhere on the earth, because there's many different earth shifts and earth changes that are happening now. Many of them we're just not being told about, but they're still happening. So we just send love and light to all of Mother Earth and thank her for making these changes go ever so smoothly for the children of light, which is who we are, because we have light inside of us and our physical form is made of light. You guys have many love and blessings. Have a wonderful evening.